You are the queen of community, co-founder of Coffee and Chill Miami, and someone who genuinely altered the branding and image of Miami. If you could give one piece of free game to anyone who wants to start their own community, what would that be?
In today's episode, Deep, an agency owner who's generated hundreds of millions of views for his clients, sits down with Lucy Nelles, the co-founder of Coffee and Chill and a community building coach. Lucy has redefined Miami's event scene with her wellness-centered gatherings that bring people together in meaningful ways.
It's definitely become one of Miami's hottest wellness events. Everyone's trying to secure a ticket. Very recently, you guys have even done one at night.
It was totally new. Hacked out this nightclub, 600 guests in the middle of Miami, no alcohol, no drugs, but we literally have people doing red light therapy in the VIP booths. How iconic is that?
Lucy, welcome to the It's Not That Deep podcast.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
You are the queen of community, co-founder of Coffee and Chill Miami, and someone who genuinely altered the branding and image of Miami.
Wow, what an intro.
I mean, it's these spaces you've created, and we'll definitely dive into it, not just with Coffee and Chill, but with your own business as well, which I'm super excited to dive into. But I want to kind of start off by sharing the story of like the first time I met you, actually.
All right.
And so I remember my good friend and your co-founder, Eric, is telling me about this event that's, gonna involve coffee and cold plunges. And he's like, guys, come out to Reserve Paddle. And there's about 200 people there. And I remember showing up, and you guys have these beer pong tables set up. You don't have a bunch of sponsors or anything. I think you might have just had like Raccoon Coffee at that point, maybe, if that.
Yeah.
And a JBL speaker and just vibes, though. That's one thing you had,
Yes.
and you still have to this day. I want to talk to you about that. So I want to dive in a little bit as to like what sparked starting this incredible community.
Yeah, I think both Eric and I just really saw a need for a place like Coffee and Chill in Miami from somewhat like a strategic standpoint. At the time, there wasn't a lot of ice bath access. You had to have a premium gym membership. You had to be subscribed somewhere or own one yourself. So we saw a lack of accessibility to that specifically. But then on a more broader scale and a more personal reason as well of just like feeling lonely in Miami, there's a lack of connection. It's all centered around drinking. And we knew that people still wanted to have fun. Like you said, there was vibes from day one.
Day
They
one.
want to have fun. They want to party, but just without the alcohol. And we wanted to create that.
And you definitely have. We're absolutely going to dive into just how it's evolved since then. I mean, that was April of 2024,
Yeah,
that first
like
event.
16 months ago.
That's insane.
Insane. Yeah.
Insane. How do you guys keep creatively pushing the edge? Because everyone now has like cold plunges or whatever at their
Yeah.
events. And I know you won't say this, but I think they're just copying you guys. How do you keep innovating?
I think one, it's a great guest experience. Every time you come, it's a great guest experience. Eric and I are so involved in the community. Like you walk in, Eric's there in line. He's giving you a high five. You walk inside, I'm giving you a hug. I'm welcoming you. Like we are still bringing that element of founder forward community building, which I think is you can't replace that.
Mhm.
So that's one reason that people keep coming back. But from a business perspective, we kind of balance the consistency and the comfort of like we're every other week, you know what to expect. People like to feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And then also giving them some elements of surprise. So every so often you'll see we'll do Formula One partnership or
Yeah.
we're at the Miami Dolphins. I'm sure we'll get into all of that.
Yeah.
But we keep you on your toes just enough to keep that engagement and give you something to look forward to that's out of the norm.
It's definitely become one of Miami's hottest wellness events. Everyone's trying to secure a ticket all the time. It's incredible. It's so funny to me because even for me, I have a hard time getting a ticket, and I'm like friends with you both, but I love that. And I think that's actually really important. The
Yeah.
tickets sell out in 5 minutes or less every single time. How do you guys balance the scarcity of it while also wanting to include as many people as possible?
I think that comes back to why we're every other weekend. So if you didn't get in this time, like we are just 2 weeks away. You have something to look forward to, and people like to know that there's a schedule and that you can rely on us every other Sunday, 10 to 12. It never changes, which is great for the community, but also great for marketing and
Yeah.
keeping people on that like consistent basis. So they know Wednesdays at 10 we drop our tickets. They're ready to buy, right? As you said, right when we drop them, and that keeps them engaged and ready for the next week.
And I love that it's every 2 weeks. It's not every week where it's like a little too much. You might get
Right.
fatigued. You're like, you know what? I can skip these next three. It's like enough where it's like, oh, like I'm excited to go, and I might go with a different group of friends or whatever. But at the same time, yeah, like to your point before, you guys do mix it up. You guys have special events, which I'm definitely like. We are going to spend some time talking about that. But something that I found really, really interesting is in less than a year, you went from hosting events with like 200 something people to doing one with 2,000 people. And I'll never forget, I flew in to make sure that I did not
I love
miss
that.
miss that one. That was for Art Basel, right?
Yes.
Tell me about what is the big difference between planning something at, let's say, a smaller scale to something that grand, like kind of a
Yeah.
festival.
Very different. It's not only like 4 times the production or like obviously you scale up your team, but it's not always just like 4 times everything
Mhm.
because it's hard to think about what 2,000 people looks like. Like you're
Yeah.
standing in a venue and you're like, what is that going to look like? How is it going to feel? So there was a lot of like infrastructure that we built around just supporting the lines and the flow of the guest experience. We also leaned heavily on our brands because when you come to normal coffee and chill, it's like 500 people and maybe 100 to 150 of those get a B12 shot or a massage or a chiropractic adjustment. But we had to scale up the activities to accommodate 2,000. We have to keep all
Yeah.
these people engaged. So we leaned really heavily on our brands to do that. We had over 30 brands activating, but in a very creative way, which took a lot of coaching with the brands. Cause it's like, if I didn't coach the brands, you would have showed up to that event and everyone would have had a boring 10 by 10 tent and handed out little samples and everyone would have been bored
Yeah.
and they wouldn't want to come back to the next one. So I worked with the brands on like what can you do that really entices people into your activation and gives them an activity, keeps them engaged. It's better for the brand because you're getting better content, you're getting people engaging with your team on site, but it's also better for my guests because there's lots of things to partake in. You could get a haircut, you could go work out with Smart Water at the Move Nation gym that we had on site. You could go do silent disco breath work with the Exist app. You could do stretching with Renew. Like there were so many activities, but that all came through sponsorships and through the brand relationships, which took a lot of work preparing both on our side, but also working with the brands to get them ready for an experience of that size.
It's incredible that you're able to do the bi-weekly events, which are already still insane. It's not like the smaller ones are any less insane, and the amount of planning and stuff that
Yeah.
has to go into it. We'll definitely talk a little bit more about like the systems and business side of just like how you're able to do that so often. But what from a guest experience, right? Like I've gone to a lot of these
Yes.
now, and I'm very grateful that I have been able to. Something that I really love is that there's always something a little bit different, and there's always like something that brings me that little dopamine hit. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like it's cool to then post something like that on social media because there is a level of like because the tickets sell out so fast, there's like this exclusivity element of like, hey, like I'm here. That's really
Right.
cool. But then at the same time, it's just cool to be with your friends and experience like a cold plunge getting painted by the Art Lana dude, like live. It's cool to see people working out and doing cold plunges for the first time. I
Yeah.
think every single coffee and chill I've been to, I've seen people being like, I've never done this before,
Yes.
which is like a
Yes.
testament to like what you guys have done. And again, going back to what I said, changing the branding of Miami. Miami's been known to be this place that's like come, get messed up, get drunk, drugs, partying,
Yeah.
bottle service, all that stuff. And you guys once again have pushed the pace on that. Very recently, you guys have even done one at night. Tell me about the coffee and chill after dark experience, because that's unique.
It was totally new, and even the club that we worked with, which was in the middle of Wynwood, so if you know Miami, like the party area, they were like, "We're not sure if you can pull this off." And we did. They were blown away. We packed out this nightclub, 600 guests on a Friday night in the middle of Miami, no alcohol, no bottle service, no drugs, just the dopamine of the cold plunges. Of course, the caffeine hit from the coffee. We brought in Adam 10 to DJ, so really made it a little bit more music driven. But we literally had people doing red light therapy in the VIP booths. How iconic is
That beats
that?
bottle service for sure.
I agree.
And I love that this is grounded in such a wellness component, and it's all about community. It's all about bringing people together around the opposite of what Miami has been like known to be for. Did you think that you'd be able to pull this off? Like, did you even know that you could do this, or like you just have that much faith in the team and everything that you could do this night event?
I think we knew that like our community really trusts us. They've been coming to our events every other weekend. This isn't something I would do 2 months into hosting Coffee and Chill,
Mhm.
but they've come time and time again and they've learned that we provide a consistent, great guest experience. So we were hopeful and confident that they would trust us enough to be like, you know what, this is really unique and different, but screw it, I'm going to buy a ticket. And I know that it'll be a good time because Lucy and Eric are producing this event. And I think we've just built up that credibility over the last year and few months.
When you first moved to Miami, did you have this community already, or did you have to find and kind of create it yourself?
Yeah, I was completely lonely, isolated when I moved here. I moved here after COVID. I was working a 9 to 5 remote job. I had no in person community through like my job or a school or anything that I was part of. So I didn't know anyone here. I found it very hard when I got here. It was like, how do I meet friends? I felt like it would be very easy to slip into the drinking side of Miami, that like culture that I didn't really want to be part of. So no, I had to build it all from scratch.
What made you move to Miami in the first place? Because you studied in New York, right?
Yes. Yeah, I went to Parsons in New York. COVID happened. New York was not the place to be, essentially. A long story, but we went, my boyfriend and I, who he's Irish, so we went to Ireland for a year.
Oh, wow.
We ended up getting stuck there. Like we
Oh,
were gonna go
boy.
for 2 weeks. We were like, let's get out of the city. Let's go there for COVID, which we thought at the time was gonna be 2 weeks because we had no idea. And then we ended up getting stuck there and we lived in Europe for a year and we got rid of our lease in New York. And when we were moving back to the US, it was like, well, we're not going to go back to New York. It was still like weird after COVID. And I had graduated online during the pandemic in 2020. So we were like, Miami sounds good. Like it's got a beach and no rules. And we were like, let's just sign a lease. So we signed a lease online and moved here, like never seeing the apartment. I'd been to Miami like once in my life, but essentially like not having ever been here, spent any time here.
Wow.
But I'm glad it paid off, but it didn't feel that way when we first got here. It was very challenging in the beginning.
I can totally relate. I mean, I also like I'm Canadian and I
Mhm.
left Canada during COVID,
Yeah.
and Florida was one of the places that I've just heard is like pretty open, and I'm like, Let me go there." But it was actually tougher than I thought to like find and build and cultivate a community. Like I didn't have what I have now, and in large part because of the communities that you've helped build. And so what I really, really appreciate about you, Lucy, and like I just want to like just be able to say this, it like fires me up, is like you are the type of person when you find like when you have see a problem, which for was isolation and not having like the community that you wanted, you just went and built it.
Yeah.
But that didn't just happen overnight. Like, tell me about, how you got involved in these communities from having your 9 to 5 and living in Miami, the isolation to like actually getting to where you are today.
Yeah, it did not happen overnight. I think a lot of people see the success of Coffee and Chill and they say overnight success. I'm like, well, not
Right.
quite. It started by going to everything in Miami. I would go to every event. I would volunteer at events. I just wanted to see like where could I find my friends. That's how it started. Just not from a business perspective. Just like where am I going to find my people?
Mhm.
And as I started to go to more events and I would meet people, I was like, okay, like that brings me a little bit of optimism. Like maybe I can find my people in Miami. Maybe this isn't so bad. And I started to really understand the landscape of the events in Miami. And I started to see, okay, there's kind of a gap here. Like this is something that I could bring to the Miami wellness scene that I didn't see before. And then so it started with my first company, High Vibe Wellness. I was like, I'm going to host these women's wellness events that are really focused on being alcohol free. And this was 3 years ago. Nothing was
It
fulfilling
wasn't
the
in vogue the
desire. Like,
same way,
no, it
yeah.
was completely different scene in Miami. So I started with 30 people at a yoga class, and that's how it began. And after that event that I hosted, I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. I just knew it. I had no idea like how hard it was going to be, how I was going to make money, how was it going to get venues, work with brands. Like I had no clue, but I knew that I was like meant to do this. And I just worked really hard to scale slowly from there, from 30 people to now 2,000. But it was a lot of work, a lot of hard times, a lot of challenges, trial and error, losing money, things like that.
Totally, and I can really relate with that. During COVID, for me, I was working a 9 to 5 job as well, and
Mm,
I worked that job for 5 years, but like it just was not aligned. I did not enjoy it. But we got to pay the bills,
right.
and so out of college, I get this 9 to 5 job. I'm working for the federal government of Canada. I'm working in the pensions department.
No way.
Really riveting stuff, if you can believe me, like working in that, insane. But I did that for so long, and that's kind of when one thing led to another, and I ended up starting this show in 2019. And then during COVID, I decided to like really take it a lot more seriously, and I started to get opportunities and stuff, but I still kept my job. Did
Okay.
you keep your job for longer than you may have wanted to like pay the bills, or are you burn the boats, go all in, follow your passion and dream?
Yes, definitely option B. I didn't even host an event before I quit my job.
Wow.
I had just been feeling like that gut feeling of this is not what I'm meant to do. And not that it wasn't a good job, it was fine on paper, you get the benefits, the
Yep.
PTO, whatever. But I was like, I'm spending 40 plus hours a week building someone else's dream and it's never going to be mine, and I'm never going to be able to grow here in the way that I know I'm capable of. And it's that feeling of like I'm not reaching my potential.
Yep.
So I did quit on a whim, pretty much $0 in my bank account. I
Wow.
knew that I could make some money from TikTok, like brand deals at the time. So it's like, I'll do that. And then I'll get some freelance clients, which I got a couple freelance clients off Upwork doing influencer marketing services, like getting their influencers to create content and like UGC for them.
Mm.
So I had a couple clients, and then I pet sit and dog walked off Rover.
Wow.
Just like anything. I was
Just
like, I
hustling.
am hustling.
I love
Like
it.
there is a level of hustle that it takes in the beginning. You're like, I'm just gonna make ends meet, pay the bare minimum that I have to pay for my bills, and like go all in on the dream. And I just think like until you create that space for the dream to flourish, whatever that is for you, it's never going to happen because you're occupied building something else. And in this case, that was giving my time to a 9 to 5.
Totally. Like I couldn't relate more on like I believe it's important at a certain point to just go all in because
Yeah.
when you got that split focus, when you're like you said building someone else's dream while wanting to do yours, like you're going two opposite
Yeah,
directions and you're like fighting internally and like spiritually you're like not aligned with
totally.
where you actually want to be in life. And so I really appreciate like the true entrepreneur in you. And like also I feel like you were able to take like an audit of like, okay, well, how can I make some money right now? What skills do I have?
Yeah,
And you use a lot of those skills still today with
for
like the
sure.
influencer marketing stuff, understanding social media, brand partnerships, all that sort of thing. Did you ever like take formal training in this type of stuff, or did you just like figure it out?
I'm one of the few people that uses my college degree.
Okay, nice. I love it.
I went to Parsons. It's a very hands-on education. They don't look at SAT scores. There's no testing. It's like get out into your market. We
Love that.
would have class at the Met or in the park in New York City. It was all project-based learning. Like here's a problem for the semester, build a business to solve it, and the end project would be like to pitch the business. So I feel like a lot of the seeds were planted early in college, and I actually reference like Like we had classes on how to do market research, we had classes on how to build brand strategy. And I use a lot of those things now, honestly, which is very
Wow.
rare. But I also do now invest in a ton of coaching. And I usually do that by identifying a constraint in the business, something very niche and specific, whether that's social media isn't getting enough reach or sales, or I need to hire a team. Like I'll find what the next thing I need is and invest in a coach or a program for that very specific thing to solve that and then move on to the next thing. So I do heavily invest in education still.
I love that because so many people think that all they need to do is just buy some random generic business course or whatever. And you take an approach of like, okay, there's this very specific skill set or this gap in this result that I'm trying to get. Let me
Mhm.
go and learn that thing. You've said also before that you like to only invest in like one thing at a time.
Mhm.
Walk me through the mindset there.
I just think like if you're also building a business or if you're working a job, you only have so much time outside of that to spend watching videos and working with a coach and doing the work. So I think if you're investing in multiple things, you're just probably not getting the most out of those programs if you're spreading yourself thin across too many. And honestly, a lot of these programs are in the tens of thousands of dollars if you're hiring a high level coach. So you do want to get the most out of it while you have the time with that person.
It goes back to the same common theme of like while you're working that job, you can't really put all of
Yeah.
your attention and energy into growing something. So that
Exactly.
same thing applies to personal and professional development. I absolutely love that. Um, so when with high vibe wellness, it was only for women, right?
Pretty much.
Pretty
Yeah.
okay.
It became only for women towards like as I built it.
'Cause what I've noticed with Coffee and Chill, like you guys do such an incredible job is having such a great blend of men and women.
Mhm.
And I feel like you bring some of like what you know about, what women want at an event, and maybe Eric might know about
Yeah.
like what men want at an event, and you guys bring it together so holistically. Has there been any challenges with that?
We've been very blessed that we've had a pretty much 50-50 male female ratio from the beginning. I will say, generally speaking, from what I know, women purchase event tickets and specifically wellness event tickets more than men. So I think getting the female audience isn't as challenging as getting the male audience. And I think having Eric as my co founder does bring the guys out a little bit because they see themselves in him and they know that this is also a place for them. The branding is very gender neutral, I will say as well. And ice baths have a little bit of a competitive atmosphere to them. And I think the guys really enjoy ice baths. When I was hosting ice bath events for the female only community, I would often get asked, like, are you going to open this up to men or can I bring my boyfriend? And like, I saw that there was a demand for that early on before Coffee and Chill. And that was part of the reason of wanting to create something that was for both men and women.
Coffee and chill to me is kind of like a little bit there's an undertone of it, and you don't have to confirm or deny this, but, it's like a real life dating app, Like
It is.
there is this component of like, you got so many beautiful people,
Yeah,
all like so many people in incredible shape. Obviously, you welcome everyone. That's not like you're saying don't come if you're not in good shape, but like you're all kind of on a similar frequency. I
Mhm.
think about it like when I used to travel and like backpack or like whatever, I'd stay in a lot of hostels, and I met friends and people in those hostels that are like lifelong people
Yeah,
that I love to this day, that like we check in on each other. But I sometimes ask myself, I'm like, why is it so easy to make friends and like build connections and community in like that type of setting? And it's because we're all on the same wavelength.
totally.
That's the same thing with Coffee and Chill. Like everyone's there. Like you're clearly not out at space partying all night. You're not drunk. You're not coming to this thing if you were, partying and going
Right.
crazy. So by its very nature, you're finding more and more people that are super aligned. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is naturally a place to date. We don't brand Coffee and Chill as a dating community, but we do like play with it on social a little bit. We'll make some humorous trends around it. I think, I've been in a relationship 7 years, but if I was single, I think it's a great place to meet someone and
Yeah.
get off the apps and get back to in real life. And I think
Yeah.
for women, I would definitely feel more comfortable in that atmosphere knowing, everyone's sober here and there's some commonality. Like you said, we're all here doing ice baths at 10 a.m. That says something about you. It's not,
Yes.
the most specific filter, but it is a filter to getting the right people in the room and being able to find your like-minded potential partner.
Are you sober?
Yes.
How long have you been sober? Like, when you moved to Miami, were you not drinking or anything like that, or
It's been over 3 years now, 3 years in May of this year,
Wow.
and it was a decision at a time where I wasn't drinking a lot. I did party a lot in college. I, like, definitely had that phase, which I'm glad I had it because I think if I didn't, I'd probably wonder, like,
Yeah,
right, I feel everyone has to have that phase at some point.
gotta get out of your
But,
system.
totally.
Yeah.
But I was here and I wasn't drinking a lot, but I was doing a lot of the, like, I'll have 1 drink out of social pressure. And it didn't feel good to be like, okay, everyone that I'm hanging out with just like wants to go to happy hour. And I'm like, just kind of over it.
Mhm,
And I was getting super hungover. I was like getting hungover off 1 or 2 drinks.
mhm.
And I knew I wanted a big life. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur for a long time, even before I was one. So I knew I couldn't waste time or my Sundays laying in bed rotting with a hangover. And I just knew it would be a better decision for me. I think also for health reasons, I have, I've struggled with anxiety. I have psoriasis and eczema and migraines, and alcohol just fuels inflammation and makes all of those things worse. So I just knew it would be better. And I quit saying like I'm just going to stop drinking for like a month or two and see if I feel better. Like it wasn't a I'm never drinking again, and then honestly I just haven't looked back. I
Wow.
just really don't miss it.
I love that because I'm on a similar path right now. So 2 months ago, I decided to just cut it out of my life
Wow.
completely, and I feel amazing.
I love
J
that
j
for you.
just like you said, like, I feel like, I've always, like, kind of suffered from anxiety and, like, it always made it worse, and
Yeah.
I always told myself the story of, like, "Oh, but the alcohol lets me take the edge off," or
Mhm.
it's just a social drink," and it's not like I was drinking every day or anything like that, but I started to notice, like, well, 3, 4 times a week, I'm having, like, a couple of drinks, and then
Yeah.
sometimes on the weekend, on the yacht or this or that, I'm drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And I just found that, yeah, like I have a lot of goals and ambitions and things that I want to do with this show, with my business, with my life, with my body. And it's just like not in alignment with that. Like I
Totally.
felt like I'm kind of living two different lives. And I was like kind of looking forward to the drink at the end of the night to like separate my day. I'm like, oh, I work really hard during the day. Like, let's just have a few drinks with some friends. It was always a social thing for me
Yeah.
until it wasn't. Until I started to realize, "Oh, wow, like, are these even really my friends or are they my
Right.
drinking buddies?" Like,
Yeah.
and I'm looking for excuses to do that to, again, take the edge off. Something that I noticed in, like, the clarity and, like, everything after no longer drinking is I'm feeling my emotions so much more.
Mm.
Did you notice that as well when you, like, completely cut out alcohol or any of those types of vices, like, feeling more?
I think it's definitely part of it because with quitting drinking, it's like then I'm more into my wellness journey and I'm doing the breath works and the yoga classes. So I think it's like all of those things combined. Definitely feeling your emotions more. I saw a big shift in my friend group almost immediately. And it wasn't that I didn't like the people I was hanging out with. It was just like, oh, we're not really aligned. Like we kind of just go, like you said, to a happy hour or a wine bar and like we gossip and it just doesn't feel good. And it's like it's the clarity of evaluating your life from the outside, like, oh, maybe that isn't the best friend group for me. Maybe that's not leveling me up to be my highest self. And it gives you some time and space to kind of audit what's good for you and what's not.
That's the perfect way to put it, the audit. Like, the
Mm.
first week for me was really difficult because I still went out and did things and whatever, just, like, without drinking, and, like, I noticed so many friends were like, "No, dude, just 1 shot, just 1 drink, just
Not
1."
your friends.
I'm like, "Oh, maybe you actually don't care about me and my
Right.
journey that much," and it made me reevaluate a lot of things.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. I think if your friends are pressuring you to drink when you've respectfully explained that you're not drinking, whether that's tonight or forever, they're probably not the right people to be surrounding yourself with.
Well, again, going back to that theme though, you did something about it and created, like, kind of the opposite,
Mhm.
but while still having that community component. Is it true that you were a bartender though at one point?
Yes, I did bottle service, bartending, waitressing in college. It paid the bills.
What's something that, those two worlds have in common though? Like, this wellness community where everyone's out cold plunging and
Yeah.
stuff to being out and being at the bars.
I think people just want to connect. They want an activity to bond over. And in this case, with coffee and chill, that's the ice bath. That's getting in the ice bath with your friends or having your coffee with them. It's a very similar experience of like, let's have a coffee together, let's grab drinks together. I think the commonality is people just want to hang out and they want to get back to in real life connection as everyone's working remote, like we're not interacting anymore. I catch myself, I mean, I run community businesses and I'm like, wait, I haven't left my house in 48 hours and I've literally just been chained to my laptop. So I think we're all just craving that in-person connection.
So I started this podcast by saying you are the queen of community.
Thank you.
And you've said that so many people were hitting you up at some point and throughout this journey asking for help on how they can kind of build their own community.
Yes.
And so, what I love, once again, this common theme that I'm seeing is like you didn't see something available for them, so you built it. I
Yes.
absolutely love that. Please tell me about community mastery.
Thank you. Yeah, I really saw a need for more in depth resources to support community builders who want to host these events, but have no idea how to make them actually profitable and turn them into a business.
Mhm.
And it's not all about money. I think obviously if you're building community, you're doing it from a place of service. You care about bringing people together, you enjoy it. But at the end of the day, if you're hosting these events, it's a lot of work. And if they're not making money, you're going to burn out and your community will also burn out and disappear very quickly, which I think we've seen with a lot of events. They pop up and then they're gone because they can't sustain. So I wanted to create a program. It's a 6-month program. It's very high touch. I'm very involved with every client where they can really learn how to create a business, something sustainable and scalable so that they can financially support themselves from building community.
So, if I wanted to build a community and I
Yes.
come to you and I join this 6-month program, what can I expect to learn?
Totally. We take you from A to Z. So whether you've already started hosting events or you're starting out, we start with foundational components to either define or validate your community concept. We need something that's able to scale. We need something like Coffee and Chill has that consistency we were talking about.
Yeah.
What is your thing? What's your white space? What's your niche? And if you're new to your city, I would tell you, like I did, go to everything.
Yep.
Figure out where you fit in your market and where you can fill a gap.
Mhm.
We do market research, and there's like a whole foundational framework that I've built to getting you to a well-defined, scalable community concept. Then from there, we go into our partnerships playbook where I teach you how to work with sponsors and venues and brands to really be able to cut your costs and increase your revenue. And then we talk about how to produce an excellent experience. If your guests aren't happy when they come there, they're not coming back. So we go through everything: production, operations, creating an excellent guest experience from start to finish, materials, how to budget, how to pull in resources and team members. And then the final phase is marketing. So the A to Z of marketing from SMS, email, socials, messaging, communication. So you have a well-rounded ecosystem to support your community.
Wow, it really is A to Z. Like that seems super in depth. And I love
Yes.
that you're practicing what you preach. Like you actually have built and run and scaled up incredible communities
Yeah.
already. And now you're just filling a gap. Like you're helping people like bridge that gap. I think that's incredible. Give me like a specific client success story from within the program.
Yeah, totally. Oh, there's so many. It's been incredible. So, one of the communities I worked with recently, they're called Athletics. They help post college athletes after graduation. They didn't go pro, and they're now, one figuring out their career path, but also looking to get back into that community like atmosphere. They're so used to being on a team. I think they had a great niche from the beginning. They'd already been hosting events for over a year when they came to me. They were doing so many events, everything under the sun, and they were making about $500 a month.
Oh
And they
no.
were putting so much into this community. And I knew that they had a really great niche. They had already defined their white space. They had a great concept, but there were no systems in place. So together we kind of streamlined, we stripped away all the events that weren't serving the higher purpose of their community and the things that were distracting them from making money, and we got really specific about what we do and what a athletics event looks like. And then we were able to plan a 6 city pop-up tour within 90 days. They sold out every single tour, every single city. They had paid sponsors across every single city. And just 90 days after being in the program, they're now profiting $10,000 a month.
Oh my goodness. That's
It's
what you
insane.
turned it around completely. I
Yeah.
could like what a return on their investment. Like
Yes.
and even more importantly than just like the money aspect of it, think about then the impact on all the people that they're impacting.
Right. It's
It's
a ripple effect,
it's such a ripple
100%.
effect. I love that, and I'm sure you have, like, so many different
Yeah.
stories like that. That's incredible. Is there one thing that you see consistently across all these different students that come into this program of, like, something to avoid when it comes to community
Oh,
building?
yes. You cannot be everything for everyone. And I see that just over and over again. And I even did that in the beginning of my journey, thinking I'm servicing women in wellness. I have a niche, but they like Pilates and they like boxing and they like breath work and they like all these things. So I have to give them all these things. And you don't have to give them everything. You just have to give them one thing that they want to keep coming back for.
Oof,
And
I
if we
love it.
could streamline, these communities would scale so much faster.
I love that, and it comes back to, like, what is a bar really? It's
Right.
something that's consistent that people know what they're gonna get, but they're never reinventing the wheel. They're not trying to
Right.
do everything for everyone at all times. They have this one thing, but
Yes.
you can just reverse that and get really clear on the one thing.
Right, exactly.
I love that. That's incredible. If you could give one piece of free game to anyone who wants to start their own community, what would that be?
I think you have to track everything.
Mm,
Track everything. Track your numbers, track your data. I have most people come to me from the videos that I make about working with brands, and they're like, "I want sponsors." And I'm like, "Yes, let's get you sponsors, but also we have to have something that the sponsors wanna buy."
mhm,
And whether you are hosting your very first event or you're 12 events in or 100 events in, if you don't know what data exists inside your community, we can't sell yourself to partners, to brands, to venues. And those things are vital for community businesses to succeed. If you're not working on a partnership and you're paying $10,000 for a venue, you are going to be in the red. If you're not working with brands and you're buying all of the things that go into making a great guest experience, again, you're going to be in the red. And sponsors are a great revenue stream, but if we don't understand the data of our community, they're not going to write you a check. So, from event number one, it's like invest in content so we can showcase what you're building and track your numbers and your data, both in person events, like who's coming to your events, how many people, how many tickets are you selling, but also who's in the community, age demo, income, location, and then on social too. How many people are you
mhm.
reaching? What's your impact?
'Cause I feel like a lot of people like, it's such a common known trope that, events lose money, like, they're a line item in a lot of businesses,
Mhm.
they'll throw events and they know that they're gonna lose money, but you've actually flipped that on its head, and it's so interesting to hear that it's so data driven, like, the people coming to Coffee and Chill are I mean, you don't view it this way, but they are data points. And like,
Yes.
I see the QR codes, and at first I'm like, what's that all about? But now it actually makes sense. And so
Mhm.
you can actually then have metrics to show either that sponsor or future sponsors, look what we did for them. We could do
Right.
this for you. And I think so many people view it kind of selfishly or from a standpoint of desperation of like, I just need sponsors. Like, let's just get sponsors, whoever, like, let's just
Mhm.
sponsor the event. If you actually put yourself in the frame of the sponsor, it's like, what's in it for them?
Totally.
So break down, like, if you can, like, just an example, just some napkin math here. If I wanted to throw an event tomorrow, and let's say I've already done some events, I already have some traction, I've already had a few sponsors or whatever, what can you help me like build to then take to sponsors to get bigger and better ones?
Totally. So We start by building an excellent pitch deck.
Mm,
In that pitch deck is a lot of the data that I talk about. We'll
yeah.
do a case study of a sponsor that you've maybe worked with in the past. And that could be one of the small sponsors you started out with. In the beginning, I over delivered a lot
Yeah.
to my gifted sponsors, ones that would just send me product
I
so
can
that
confirm they over deliver.
so that I can show other brands like this is what we can do, this is what we've done in the past. And I really build a story that a brand wants to get behind and invest in. And I think if you're hitting the mark on like you are scaling, you're attracting a lot of people, plus you're aligned with some type of cultural or national or global trend, like we're, leaning into the non-alc movement, drinking's down 54%, brands want to attach themselves to that. So that can exist in any niche. And it's like, how can we build a story that brands really believe in and want to get behind, and how can we deliver on it to the brands? And that's through, like I said, exposure and data and how much they're going to have, how many people they're going to be able to reach in person, but also through content, through social deliverables, and being a super valuable touch point on the customer journey. When a brand comes to me and they say, I want an ROI on this partnership, I do level set. Like, this is not going to be, I tried your product and I ran to Publix and I bought it. Nor could we track that. But even if we could, that's not how it works. It's one
Many
of
touch
9 or
points.
14 touch points before they convert on your Instagram ad. But I really position it as one of the most valuable. Your team is there. You get to tell me about the product. You get to tell me the founding story. You get to educate me on the ingredients. I get to taste it if it's a beverage or a supplement
Yeah.
and experience it in person. And then I'm way more likely to convert on an ad or when I'm walking in Whole Foods and I see your product on the shelf. So I kind of work with the brands if they don't already have a good understanding of what to expect from a partnership like this. I do level set and I make sure that we're on the same page and they know what they can expect, which is a lot of value, but it's not necessarily a conversion in terms of a purchase.
And I can honestly say, as someone who's gone to Coffee and Chill, like that's the one that I can relate with the most here. At that 2,000 person Art Basel event, I tried non-alcoholic tequila for the first time. And I
Amazing.
went in and I'm like, okay, like this isn't gonna be like even close. But it was incredible. It tasted like very similar. It had the smell. It was great.
Yeah,
And I have none of the downsides of drinking tequila at 10 in the morning. That'd be
right.
crazy. But still, I got to experience that. And then not that same day, but like a couple months later, I actually bought from that brand.
Oh, amazing.
Forget.
Amave.
Yes, yes. I
Yes.
forgot their name, but yes, I bought from them and I actually had some of that
I love that.
non-alcoholic tequila.
I'm gonna take this clip and put it in my pitch deck.
I love it. Practicing what she preaches. I love it. Going back to sponsorship though, so to celebrate 1 year of Coffee and Chill, you guys partnered with F1. That
Dream.
that was insane. I remember being there and just feeling the energy, and there was
Yeah.
a literal F1 car at the event.
Yes.
How do you go from the 200-person event that I went to a year before that to pulling something like that off?
That was a dream come true. I don't know if I've ever told this story publicly, but I'll give you an exclusive right here. First, it comes down to your mindset and believing that it's possible. Eric and I think it was our third event ever. So right after we launched, we did like a F1 weekend recovery event. And it was at Fable in Wynwood, and we had a printed, like, literal paper F1 car that we made with the Coffee and Chill logo, and we branded it like Formula One Weekend Recovery. And they actually sent us a cease and desist because you can't say that, which genuine mistake. I had no idea that that was not allowed. We didn't use their logo or anything, but just saying the word
Yeah.
F1, I had no clue that that
Ah,
wasn't allowed.
okay.
So they sent us a cease and desist, and then a year later, we have an official partnership and a real F1 car in the middle of our venue. It was the biggest full circle pinch me moment of my life. I could not believe it. But it's a testament to a few things. One, building a very engaged community where we were doing all the things I was talking about, of showing them our history of sold out events, showing them other aligned brand partners. We're very picky about the brands that we work with because your dream brands will care about who you work with, and
Mhm.
they could align with the other companies that we've partnered with. And then showcasing our content, showcasing our reach on social, and believing that it was possible. I knew when we did that first F1 event, that the fake one, the one we recalled Race Weekend, that was the seed planted for a bigger dream, and it happened faster than we could have imagined. And I think it starts with your mindset and being like, I know I can do this. Just believing in yourself, number one.
Wow.
And then it's also relationship building, of course. The partnership with F1, we work with a lot of the other hard rock events like Miami Dolphins more recently, but also Miami Open. And I had been in touch with them and building that relationship for years. And from Miami Open, they introduced us to the F1 team and it went from there.
Everyone sees the result and they're like, wow, this is super cool, all that sort of thing. But they don't see all the behind the scenes, all the negotiations, the
Mhm.
contracts, the back and forth, all of that. How do you balance, always striving for bigger and more aligned partnerships with staying true to the original core, like these are the tenets, this is what we
Yeah.
set out to do?
We've set some strict brand guidelines for ourselves that we always refer back to because it is easy like to get distracted by something that seems shiny or a check, and we've declined thousands and thousands of dollars in partnerships because they have, red 40 in them, and I can't look you in the eye and tell you I would take this product. I will not allow something like that into my event if I don't believe in it. And we've done that with, we're very strict on ingredient labels, but also on these bigger partnerships, they often, have a lot of restrictions and guidelines we have to work within. And it is a lot of back and forth and negotiation because we want to make sure it still feels like coffee and chill when you get there. We don't want to bend and mold too much that all of a sudden it's like not really a community, not really our event. And we've declined some really pretty substantial large brands that a lot of people I think would rush to partner with because we saw that in the grand scheme of things, it was going to mold our brand into something that we didn't really want to become.
Mhm.
And it can be challenging to set those boundaries in the beginning, but I think the more no's you say now, the more yeses you say to future partners that do feel aligned.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure I'm just making up a random example here, so I do not want to cease and desist coming here. But if Coca-Cola or something just came up to you with a check that like probably bigger than all the sponsors that combined, you guys would actually have to turn that down because
Yeah,
like that has nothing to do with the ethos. But I think
100%.
so many people would have a hard time with that. So I love that you guys are so grounded in those, original tenets of like these are the non-negotiables. Like,
So
yes, money
important.
is important. It is the fuel that keeps this thing going, but like community is more important.
Yes. I love that. 100%.
Yeah, that's amazing. I do want to talk about one of the most recent events that you guys did and how it actually changed my life.
Ah.
So, as a lot of my listeners know, I moved out of Miami 6 months
Mhm.
ago. So it was difficult for me. It was not really something I wanted to share and stuff, but things have been challenging with my business and stuff as well. And
Mhm.
sometimes I see a trend every year that summers are really slow because my
Yeah,
clients, when we're in the social media space, they want to go enjoy their summer too. So
right.
every year I've noticed that summers are a bloodbath. They're really tough for us. So I decided to do something about it and I decided to leave Miami for a undetermined amount of time. I didn't know. I left it kind of open ended. And so I went down to Medellin, Colombia, and I was there for the last like 5.5, almost 6 months.
Wow.
And I see like a month and a half or something ago, Eric post on his story about a partnership that you guys have with the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
And okay, that's already super cool and that I'm stoked about that, but I grew up a huge Patriots fan. And I am to this day. I don't watch as much football, I just don't have the time, but I had never been to a Dolphins game and I lived in Miami for 4 years. I'd never been to a Dolphins game. And they happened to be playing my favorite team.
Yes.
It's the home opener. I'm like, I don't know how these guys pulled that off, but I just, without even no hesitation, I booked the plane ticket. I bought the ticket to the event. And how this changed my life is I only meant to come here for that event and to see my friends and catch up with them, do a couple podcasts, but then probably just go back down to Latin
Mhm.
America. Going to that event and seeing what you guys put together and the incredible vibe at the Hard Rock Stadium with perfect weather, cold plunging, and like you had like 600 plus people there in this sober tailgate type event with the ticket to the actual game included. It was the most no-brainer thing ever, and it actually resulted in me deciding to move back to Miami. And that's something I
Wow.
haven't shared yet either, but
That's
I just
amazing.
want to thank you from the bottom of
Oh,
my heart.
thank
You
you.
changed my life. How did that partnership come to be?
Wow, what a testimonial. Thank you for sharing that. That's incredible. Yeah, the Miami Dolphins was another dream come true moment. I think they were really excited to be able to bring in a new demographic. I think a lot of our, I think 43% of our attendees had never been to an NFL game. So it's tapping into a new market for them, which is a really valuable thing to get these people into the stadium experiencing the game. We also were able to go on NBC. We brought Ice Baths into NBC studio to talk about it, but they were really interested in the angle of like, a sober tailgate? Like, wait, what? Normally you're doing beer pong and taking shots, and we're like, no, 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 you're gonna drink coffee and get in a cold plunge.
Exactly.
So again, aligning to like the cultural trends that we're seeing, but it was insane. And to be in the stadium, a lot of people reached out and they were like, oh, so we're like in the parking lot. I'm like, no, 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 we're like in the stadium.
Yeah.
It's sick. So
Yes.
it's a testament to the community, honestly, and what we've built over the last couple of years. And like I said, aligning with the other partners, they saw like the F1, the Miami Open partnership. To get to be in Hard Rock was a literal dream come true.
And the game itself was
Yeah, it was
incredible. Like,
actually so entertaining. I'm not even a football girl, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good.
it was crazy. Like for some of my people watching, like I believe the Dolphins scored a touchdown on a punt return touchdown, and then the Patriots responded with a kick return touchdown in 12 seconds. Insane, just such a vibe. And then after getting to be on the actual field, that was a dream come true. I grew up playing football,
Wow.
so it's like such a big part of like my identity and
Yeah,
stuff growing up. And just being able to step out on the field, like you guys constantly push the pace and are just outdoing yourselves.
thank you.
Is there like a certain amount of pressure on like continuing to push the envelope, and how do you manage that?
Yeah, I think we are always trying to innovate, trying to keep you on your toes. Like you'd been to so many events and then you saw this one, you're like, oh, I can't miss that one. And it's really cool to hear that from you because I mean, I'm not a football girly. So I was like, yeah, cool, we'll take pictures on the field. But for some people, that was like a really meaningful moment. We
Yeah.
also got 10 people on the field during the national anthem and we got a signed helmet that we gave away. So even within the big partnerships, we're always trying to like innovate these little moments to create a new connection with a customer who's maybe never been to Coffee and Chill. We are always trying to innovate. We're very lucky that we've built such a cult following now that we get a lot of inbound, incredible opportunities. And then we're just very selective about which ones make the most sense. And we also lean into the interests of our community. We kind of knew like Miami Dolphins is going to be something that everyone is, or a large percentage of our attendees are interested in. So, how can we take you to the game in a new way for the first time?
Yeah.
And we're always trying to create those memories for people.
Talking a little bit more about the whole sponsorship thing, obviously it's a big chunk of the revenue that you
Mhm.
guys make. I feel like the tickets, you guys have been able to keep them at a really low price for the value that you get. Like you over deliver on what you get for the whatever price it is. And obviously had to raise it, but by like $2 at a time, like super, super little. Like anyone listening to this, if you have not been to a coffee and chill event, like get on that. Set an alarm on your phone. Is it Wednesdays at 10?
Wednesdays at 10. Yeah.
Wednesdays at 10, like you have to get your ticket. I'm not partnered with Coffee and Chill, and I'm not paid to say this at all, but I genuinely love what you and Eric have built here in Miami. And that's kind of what I want to talk about next is what's the dynamic like between you two? Because I'm really good friends with Eric.
Yeah.
You and I are not as close, but I definitely want to know what's that like, what do you both bring to the table that's so different, and how do you manage that?
Yeah, I think we have one really common interest in building this community and seeing the same vision, which is super important. Like, we're very aligned on that. And then our differences, we kind of play into them and have divided our responsibilities accordingly. So I manage more of the partnerships, more of the content and socials. He manages more of the venue relationships and the operations and logistics, both incredibly crucial to growing an events company and really complementary of each other. together. And I think if you are looking to build a community with a co-founder, making sure you're not both like, oh yeah, we both really want to do social and that's like our only, our skill sets are too overlapping,
Mhm.
because then it's really challenging to scale. And because we have such divided responsibilities, I run socials, I don't ask for approval on posts. He trusts me,
Yep.
and vice versa. Like he manages operations
You're
day
you're
of
not
with the
you're not
team.
asking about, the ice trucks, coming
No,
on
no, I
time
don't
and
wanna know. He's handling that. So that keeps us productive because
Yeah.
we can just hit the ground running, and then we come together on big decisions about big partnerships, about, which venues we wanna do when, on dates and things like that. So we are very aligned in some of the decisions we make, but the day-to-day runs so smoothly because we have complementary skill sets, and that is so important.
I think I couldn't agree more. Me and my business partner as well, we couldn't be more different on,
Yeah.
like, our actual, like, the micro skill sets that we bring to the table, but on the macro, we're driving on the same road with the same vision, and we
Yes.
come together and often talk about, the big picture stuff. But then I can't film a video. To this day, I can't film a video for my life, but Jamie's not really on the sales side and like
Mhm.
operations and stuff. So we work really well together, and I love that you guys have that dynamic as well.
Yeah.
But help the viewers here peel back the curtain. I want to know what a meeting, like a weekly meeting, is like, and what's discussed with you and Eric when you do come together.
Yeah, we're actually meeting right after this. We're
Nice.
going to Maman, our favorite spot in Wynwood.
Love it. I love it.
We come together for meetings, especially in person, around like bigger events. So today's meeting agenda is talking about Art Basel 2.0, repeating last year, but bigger and better.
Even bigger than last year? Is that even
Yes.
possible? Oh my God, let's go.
Bigger and more premium, just elevating the experience, taking all the learnings from last year. So that's what we'll be talking about. Like, what do we want to do differently that we could have improved on last year and make it better this year? We'll talk about a general marketing plan that we'll align on, and then we'll go execute on. Like, I'll work with our social team and our content team to execute on what we put together.
Mhm.
And so today is like one specific event that we're talking about, and we'll talk through, what needs to be ordered. We'll check out the budget together on these bigger experiences that are out of our normal cadence. We definitely like to meet in person. And then I'd say on a weekly basis, we're doing a 30-minute check-in call, but we do probably text almost every day
Yeah, that's
about,
just
little
naturally.
things that come up or whatever. We are in, constant communication and making sure we're aligned when we're making decisions. But um on the weekly, we just do like a check-in call on where we're headed, any special things. I think that's where we really come together. We're doing Arc House this weekend, our first ever coffee and chill at sea, which was a giveaway. So it's only 26 people, but obviously that's so different than what we normally do. So we've been meeting a lot about that and like how are we going to create this like intimate experience, and it's purely give back to our community, not revenue driving for us, just wanting to create something special that keeps our community really feeling nurtured and taken care of in
Wow.
a unique and special way. So we're going to be on these floating yachts on these mansions in the middle of the water with
That's
coffee and ice baths and goodie bags and sushi platters, and it's going to be epic.
I really love that you're able to also do the massive events and the special events and whatnot, but then also have these more intimate little events. Do you think you're gonna experiment more with that, or is it wait and see how this kind of goes and then see the data
Yeah.
from that and like experiment from there?
It was definitely it's our first time doing something of 26 people. It's super intimate. We're very excited about it. We've done lots of giveaways on our page. We gave away like a Virgin Voyage Mediterranean 10-day cruise, and
What?
that had significantly less entries and comments than this 26-person event, which
Whoa.
I think I will say that was earlier in our journey on social, but I think that this shows that people want the community. They care more about like, oh, I get to come to an event with other Miami locals inside Coffee and Chill and get to experience something. So I think if this goes well, I don't see why we wouldn't do another similar giveaway like this. From a business standpoint, when I'm coaching other community builders, I do encourage let's get to the 100-person or more, because financially that makes the most sense for the business to scale. But doing things like this where we can partner up, like we were able to partner with Boat Setter to make this event happen, give them exposure on social, and then create this special experience. It's super unique, and from a business standpoint drives tons of engagement on social, but from a community standpoint is just irreplaceable connections that are going to be made that night.
I love it. You guys absolutely crush it on social media.
Thank you.
Tell me about the value of putting out content to building a community.
The most valuable thing you could do. If you're not posting, I don't know, 5 days a week at least, like you're missing so many opportunities and free opportunities. We do not spend money on advertising. We didn't spend a single dollar on advertising to sell 2,000 tickets to Art Basel last year.
My
And that
goodness.
tells you everything you need to know about why you should be posting on social.
I love it. And how do you balance posting on the for different brands and like businesses and your own personal brand? Like how do you balance that?
So on the coffee and chill side with the sponsors, we have like really worked out a really great deliverable system that doesn't make our feed feel like ads
Yeah.
all the time. It has to be integrated in an organic way or it's not going to perform and that's a lose-lose for everyone.
Yeah.
So we have a great system there. And then on my personal brand, I try to take people a little bit more behind the scenes, like day in my life vlogs, what it's like to host events, my event planning tips for community builders, and giving a little bit more insight into what it's like to be on the founding side.
What's something someone would be surprised to know about Lucy?
Oh, well, I'm very type A, but I have two non-type A traits. Number one, my closet in my room is always a mess.
Okay.
Even though I have a cleaner, doesn't matter. Like one day later, absolute disaster. And number two, all of my technology is always dead. My phone is always on 4% pretty much consistently.
I would not have
I'm
thought of
sure.
that at all.
I plan everything else, but not that.
Where do you see coffee and chill in 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I would almost, like, hate to limit us by giving an answer to
Fair enough.
that.
Fair enough.
A year ago, like, I wouldn't have guessed we would be where we are. I had the vision and, like, I wanted it and I believed it was possible, but for the timeline, like, it's been
Insane.
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 And same thing with pretty much any business venture or anything I've done, like, life just moves so quickly. I mean, we even saw that with COVID. Like, I couldn't have predicted that I wouldn't have a fashion job in New York City working 9 to 5 in person, and here we are in Miami running community events. So, I have no idea exactly. I think it will continue to grow 100%. The demand is there. The people need community. We need to get back to in-person connections just from a social standpoint, offer technology back to in real life. I will for sure be working in community events and like furthering that mission. I think that's what I'm called to do. And Coffee and Chill will evolve. And I think more and more brands will want to get involved. It's the direction that everyone's headed.
I love it. And it has expanded to so many different cities. There's New
Mhm.
York, there's Austin, there's obviously LA. Are there plans to ever expand coffee and chill outside of the United States?
Potentially, it's not off the table. We have definitely talked about it and figuring out the systems to do that and make it be able to succeed in a new market. I think what we've seen is that we've adapted coffee and chill in every market. So when we started here, like you said, we had a JBL speaker and a lo-fi beats playlist on Spotify. And
Mhm,
now music is almost a driving force of the
mhm,
experience. The Afro beats, the drums, the saxophone. We
mhm,
have a very unique sound to like what Coffee and Chill plays. And we've tailored that because of the demand in the Miami market. That wouldn't necessarily work in, say, LA. They
mhm.
have a much more chill atmosphere.
Yeah.
So we adapt it to every market to make sure it works. And adapting it overseas would be a whole new challenge, but not impossible.
I have an idea. I
Okay,
just
hit
came
me.
up with it. Obviously, I'm not the one planning any of this and stuff, but I'm an ideas guy.
I
And
love it.
so I'm Canadian.
Okay.
I think it would be so cool to have like a pop-up coffee and chill in Toronto in the middle of winter. So you have ice baths, but you also have hot tubs. And
Okay.
you roll around in the snow and you go between all of them, and then you have some like hot cocoa and stuff. It
I
could be
like
so
it.
cool in like the mountains or like some like ski lodge or something like that. Like,
Capre ski vibes.
yeah,
I love
exactly.
that.
Like literally coffee and chill. Like,
Or
and just,
even in a lake, like
yeah,
one of the first cold plunges I did was in like a natural lake in upstate
same
New
here.
York, and
Yeah.
it's like
So cold.
it's so cold, like probably unsafe. No, but it's a cool experience because you're just in nature. Like we
Yeah.
picked a hole through the ice and jumped in, like it was so cool. So
You never
you
know.
never know. Coffee and chill in the wild.
I love it. What's one message you'd want, people feeling as they walk away from Coffee and Chill?
Connected.
Yeah.
I if they make one friend
Mm.
coming to the event, that can really change your whole experience of Miami. I feel like when
Yeah.
started to find my first few friends that felt really aligned, my whole perspective on living here changed.
Yeah.
So if they can meet one person that they hang out with outside an event, that's a win for me.
Yeah, I always say you're one connection away,
Yeah,
and I totally, totally see the Coffee and Chill creates the space for that, and I've made friends from Coffee and Chill. It's absolutely incredible.
I love
I
that.
challenge anyone listening, if you do go to, one of Lucy's events, like, don't just hang out with the friends that you came with.
Mhm.
Go say hi to someone. Go do a cold plunge with someone
Come
for the first time.
alone.
Yeah, come alone. Like,
Yeah.
I've done that so many times, and I always meet people that have changed my life. Like, I'll give you a specific example. This one dude, Michael Smoke, higher up wellness, I met him at one of the Coffee and Chill events back like last, I believe it was like last May or something like that. And he has become one of my closest friends.
Wow.
He's a client. I just had him on the podcast. He flew in from Atlanta. We did a whole
Wow.
content day, and he's like a brother of mine now. And that all happened
I
just
love
from
that.
one connection. Like, Kyle from the Cold Life was just like, "Yo, bro, you gotta meet this guy." And then from there, like now we're like homies and like a brother. Like, I'd take a bullet for that guy. And
Wow.
that is straight up because of Coffee and Chill.
I love that. That's
Incredible.
incredible.
So this podcast is all about simplifying success and showing people 1% habits that can improve their life.
Mhm.
What's 1% habit or something that you do that you think could help others?
I have been really into breath work lately and doing it first thing in the morning, but it doesn't have to be like a whole thing. Like even 3 to 5 minutes,
Okay.
I've noticed a substantial difference.
Mm.
Because I think I was resisting doing that on a regular basis because I was like, I have to do 10 minutes, 20
Yes,
minutes,
yeah.
30 minutes, an hour. Like, that's just a lot. And then I'm like, it's fine. I don't need to do it. And then I use the Open app.
Yeah.
And just like the 3 minute to 5 minute ones, like it changes your whole energy state in the morning. And I found that to be quite impactful over the last couple months.
I need that because I think one of my not so traits that I'm not so proud of when it comes to health and wellness is I look at my phone in the morning, and just puts me right away in an anxious state. I'm
Mhm.
checking Slack, I'm checking email, and I'm like kind of addicted to that like ramp up. And it's
Mhm.
something that I'm trying to break the habit of. I've tried to do like a little prayer in the morning. I've tried meditating, but I'm just like after like 10 minutes or so, I'm like, I just want to like do things. Like,
Yeah.
I want to like go.
I feel that.
So that's awesome. And it's called the Open app. That's what I
Yeah.
should try.
Yeah, and that's why I like the breath work, because the meditation, I feel you. Like sometimes you're just like antsy, and I'm like, I'm ready to go. I want
Yeah.
to like
Let's
let's start the day.
let's get some
But the
coffee in my
breathing, like
veins.
right, the breathing like gives you something to focus on, and within 5 minutes, if you're really breathing, like you can feel kind of like euphoric, tingly. Like
Wow.
I find it's much easier to stick with than just meditating, and then ideally you're jumping in the cold plunge after.
Incredible. What's one message you want to share with people who are on the fence about joining Community Mastery?
I think that if you want to build any business, working with a coach is incredibly valuable, and I have found that it 10x's your growth and the amount of time it takes to get growth, in your business or see results. So, if you're on the fence about, like, "Should I do this?" or "Is this the right fit for me?" It's such a tailored program to exactly what you're going through, which is
Mm,
why I built it. The general coaching or general business coaching, like you were mentioning before, doesn't always get you the results that you're looking for. It doesn't move the needle in the way that specific niche coaching does.
mhm.
I'm in the trenches with my clients. I'm doing this every other weekend, and I'm really hands on with them, there to support them every step of the way. So, if you want to build a community, I think diving into this program is incredibly valuable. It's literally what I wish I had when I started.
Yeah.
And to be surrounded by now over 100 other community builders in the network who are going through exactly what you're going through and
Mhm.
leaning on each other as well. So,
Well, you may have a customer in me someday because I just know I've seen what you have done. Like, you actually do this, but not just for yourself, but for your students
Mhm.
and clients, and I think it's incredible. And one last thing I'll share about that is I've made so many investments in courses and coaching in my life, and to me, it's not always even just about like the content of like what you learn, but also who you meet,
Mhm.
right? And so whenever I've made that scary investment, it's always returned dividends for me, like,
Totally.
big time, and I have to be a little bit scared to spend the money, and that's why, like, a $99, like, whatever
I couldn't
general
agree more.
business course is, like, you're not gonna feel it, you're not gonna be bought in because it's not scary, so I challenge anyone to work with Lucy. I'm not in it, but I can just tell, like, you can probably sit here and tell, like, 100, like, so many different
Yeah.
case studies and stories of people you've helped build community.
I love what you said about the investment feeling scary because it's a leap in faith in yourself. Like it's the
Mhm.
accountability of being in a coaching program as well. I invested in a coach when I launched a coaching program because I was like, new business model, don't
Yep.
know what I'm doing. And it was putting, I think I invested, it was like 7 or 8 thousand. And at the time that felt like super scary.
Yeah.
I was like, but that's like betting on yourself and saying, I'm gonna go all in. It's like what we were
Yeah.
talking about earlier. You have to go all in and having not only your putting the money where you say you want, to go, but it's also like then I'm going to hold you accountable too and then everyone in the community is holding you accountable. So it's again not just the education, but it's like I'm going to do this and I'm going to go all in and let's go. Let's do it together.
I love it, Lucy. We could sit here for hours and
Yes.
just talk about so many different topics, but this podcast is not that deep. And I really, really value our conversation today. I consider you a friend. You've changed my life.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. This is amazing.
Where can people find you, connect with you, and potentially even join Community Mastery?
Yes, communitybuildingcollective.com will give you the application to join. And then you'll find me on Instagram, Lucilia Nellis, and Coffee and Chill Miami if you want to come to an event.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. And just remember, it's not that deep, baby.